Letters from satisfied buyers. Maybe it's because Bob's offers such excellent values on the Northwest's largest selection of quality Newmar motorhomes. Maybe it's because Bob's has more fifth wheels, more travel trailers, more gas and diesel models, more slide-outs, more of everything it takes to capture your RV dream. All good reasons to visit Bob's RV Country on Canyon Road in Beaverton today.
Capture your dream
at Bob's RV Country.
We're matching up small-town men with big city women. Let's go for it.
O.J. Simpson's best witness, the maid who claims he was home, she has a difficult day. Speaker Gingrich, he doesn't buy that sticks and stones theory. He claims the words are hurting him. And an American close-up. What makes a millionaire risk his life in a balloon over the Pacific?
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. A key question through the long ordeal of the O.J. Simpson case has been this. Where was he between the hours of 10 p.m. and his departure for the airport? Rosa Lopez, a housekeeper who worked for Simpson's neighbors, told defense lawyers that his white Bronco was parked on the street during that time. If true, that means it was not at Nicole Brown Simpson's at the time of the murder. So when Rosa Lopez appeared in court today, expectations were high. But her testimony was at best confusing. NBC's David Bloom in Los Angeles again tonight.
Correct.
You lied to us, didn't you?
It was a devastating cross-examination.
You don't have any plans to leave Los Angeles at all, do you?
Rosa Lopez is a key defense witness. The maid who claims to have spotted O.J. Simpson's Ford Bronco parked outside his house around the time of the murders. Today, Lopez admitted she'd lied under oath. When she testified, she'd booked a one-way reservation to El Salvador on tomorrow's flight.
Miss Lopez, we just called the airline. They don't show a reservation for you. Can you explain to the court why it is that you just told us you have a reservation?
Because I am going to reserve it, sir. As soon as I leave here, I will buy my ticket and I will leave.
Today's hearing, without the jury present, is to decide whether Lopez's testimony should be videotaped for later use. Defense lawyers claim Lopez plans to flee to her native El Salvador to avoid harassment by the press and because she's afraid for herself and her family.
You plan to leave for El Salvador tomorrow?
Sí. Yes.
All right, do you plan to come back to Los Angeles?
No not for a long time.
But as NBC News first reported, until late today, Rosa Lopez had a round-trip reservation to El Salvador booked for next month. Prosecutors arguing that proves she will be back.
Now we find out that on February 21st, that she booked a round-trip ticket to El Salvador. And what's important about the February 21 date, Your Honor, is that 4 days before, on February 17, she signed a declaration under penalty of perjury saying she was leaving and she wasn't coming back, saying she feared for her life. You tell me, what's going on here?
Judge Ito agreed that Rosa Lopez repeatedly contradicted herself. But in the end, the judge decided that her testimony might be too important to the defense to risk losing forever. So tonight, in an almost unprecedented hearing, Rosa Lopez's testimony will be videotaped, saved for posterity, in case she does indeed flee the country. David Bloom, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Oh, did the Simpson defense have a lot invested in Rosa Lopez, and what now? NBC's chief legal correspondent is Jack Ford. He's with us again tonight. Jack, not in front of the jury today, so what is the impact here?
It's one of those small battles, Tom, but it might have some larger implications. Now, the only thing that Judge Lancito has to decide here is he going to allow them to videotape her testimony and then hold it and then see if she shows up in the trial later. But what is going to happen now is whenever she does testify, in whatever fashion, the prosecution is going to be able to show the jury that she lied under oath in this hearing on something that was very important and significant to the case. So if you're the prosecutor, you're fighting a fact witness who's saying yes when you're saying no, the best thing you can hope to confront them with is the fact that they've lied under oath before. So it wasn't very good for the defense.
And she didn't seem to know exactly where she was during the course of this testimony today, not just about her travel plans.
Yeah, if you're the prosecutor, you're saying, look, we're asking you people to believe this witness about a precise time and a precise place. Take a look at her. Sadly, she wasn't able to remember any of the details about what happened today. Why would you accept what she's going to tell you about something that happened 9 months ago? So you can see that the prosecution is going to seize on a lot of that testimony.
Thanks very much, Jack, for it tonight. In Washington tonight, there's great anticipation of next week's Senate vote on the first new constitutional amendment in years, this one to balance the budget. The Senate vote is very, very close tonight. What is not close, however, is the relationship between the House Speaker, Newt Gingrich, and an outspoken band of senior Democrats who believe in doing unto others. NBC's Lisa Myers on their latest brawl.
Speaker Gingrich erupted today, accusing Democrats of running a systematic smear campaign.
They are misusing the ethics system in a deliberate, vicious, vindictive way. And I think it is despicable, and I have just about had it.
Though Gingrich made a habit of accusing Democrats of ethical improprieties, their attacks on him seem to be taking a toll.
I am so sick of the way the game is played by the news media and the way the game is played by the Democrats in this city that it is frankly all I can do to stand in there. I mean, people say, how can you take it? Frankly, it hurts.
However, Democrats showed no mercy.
I think the Speaker is concerned. I think he's nervous about this. I think he's reacting to this in a way that would indicate that he's got a problem.
Whether Gingrich has a problem is up to the House Ethics Committee, which has begun looking into a long list of charges. They involve Gingrich's controversial book deal and a web of financial enterprises known as Newt Incorporated, which amassed $17 million over the last decade to promote Gingrich and his causes. The Speaker was furious that Democrats filed still another ethics charge this week, claiming Gingrich broke House rules by accepting free airtime to televise his college course, a gift from a company with important interests before Congress. A spokesman for the company, Jones Intercable, called the allegation totally groundless. Gingrich's spokesman, Tony Blankley, accused Democrats of malicious imbecility. The Ethics Committee is weeks away from its first big decision, whether to give in to Democratic demands for an outside counsel. The Speaker has said an outside counsel is not needed. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
Also in Washington tonight, House Republicans are trying to reduce the size of the government, and they have finished work now on a package of cuts, $17.5 billion. That, however, is not even 10% of this year's $171 billion deficit. But House Republicans tonight abandoned their plan to turn the $26 billion federal food stamp program back to the states. Farm states oppose the plan because it would mean big cutbacks in food purchases. When NBC Nightly News continues, spy wars, the U.S. and France at it again. And tonight, our American close-up, going against nature and winning.
You know, there's nothing more fun than a vacation at sea. You can lounge in the fresh air, visit romantic ports, enjoy fine dining, great shows, pampered service. I love it here. There's so much to do.
Holly, Al, hi, Kathy.
Hi, Richard. What are you doing here?
Having the time of my life. Oh. If my friends can see me now.
Take a 3, 4, or 7-day vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
I love this ship.
He peered down into the rugged landscape of Kellogg's low-fat granola and paused, almost afraid to disturb all those massive formations of flavor. But that's what he'd come for, to dig in, setting loose a whole avalanche of taste. Tumbling clumps of rolled oats, brown sugar, and raisins cast into rivers of milk, and great clumps of wheat and almonds dashed against cinnamon shores. Now this is a mountain of taste, he thought. Kellogg's low-fat granola. Get a taste of it.
People are much more satisfied than they have been in the past. Now with quality care standards, we have some guidelines to follow. This is what the customers want. They want to have their appointment within a day. They want to have their car fixed right the first time. This is them speaking. Anything we can do to make it better. It's not just meeting the standards that people are setting for us, but exceeding them. Something we're doing's working.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
That spy squabble between France and the United States is beginning to resemble a schoolyard fight with lots of tough talk, but no punches thrown. France, you'll remember, has accused 5 United States employees of spying out of the American embassy in Paris, the same France that has already admitted on spying on American companies. More on the latest charges tonight from NBC's Bob Kerr on a breakdown in diplomacy.
Vice President Gore reflected the mood of U.S. officials today. They all wish the spy mess could have been handled quietly.
I'm not going to have any comment on that. Matters of that kind really shouldn't be dealt with publicly anyway, and that's part of the problem.
From Paris, a U.S. Embassy official told NBC News the scandal was getting nasty. At the State Department, no denial that the CIA chief in Paris and 4 other Americans engaged in economic and political espionage, but an unusually angry and blunt denunciation of how France accused the U.S. of letting the scandal go public.
We categorically reject the allegation that we are responsible for the detailed leaks to French newspapers. The charge is entirely false.
The U.S. Embassy labeled the French accusations neither true nor credible, and in diplomacy, that's calling the other guy a liar. Today, that other guy, French Interior Minister Charles Pasqua, outraged U.S. officials again, saying there were transgressions by their secret services not only in France, but also in other European countries.
It's very hypocritical of Pasqua and the French to raise this as a subject, because clearly the French intelligence service has been the major culprit in espionage against the United States.
With an election in France set for spring, many there and in the U.S. believe the spy story was leaked by French officials hoping for a distraction from their own legal and political problems. This episode is messy and loud, but officials on both sides insist it is well short of a crisis in relations, mainly because no one's hands are clean. Bob Kerr, NBC News, Washington.
This week on NBC Nightly News, we have been looking once again at drugs in America, and it turns out that they're still pouring across the Mexican border. New surveillance equipment and 80 additional customs agents are on the way. The size of the drug flow made clear during a Dateline NBC investigation, which found that many trucks, some owned by suspected drug smugglers, cross into the United States without a border inspection, in large part because of the new trade rules between the two countries. We'll have this full report by Fred Francis on Dateline tonight at 8 Central Time. There's news tonight as well of a major auto recall, nearly 300,000, including the Ford Taurus and Probe and the Mercury Sable models made in 1990 because of exhaust system problems. It was another record day on Wall Street. The Dow was up again in heavy trading, but the Nasdaq was off slightly. For the week, both exchanges were up. So far this year, the Dow is up 177 points. That's almost 5%. Last year, for the entire year, it managed only an 80-point increase, just over 2% for the entire year. Up next, why is this man running for president? We'll let him tell you in his own words.
I love working in the theater, and despite the arthritis that runs in my family, I plan to keep right on working. The Arthritis Foundation is working, too, to find a cure. But until they do, they've helped to create the new Arthritis Foundation pain relievers. For pain relief we can count on, from nighttime discomfort to the pain of inflammation. And part of our purchase price goes to research, so we're helping others as we help ourselves. New Arthritis Foundation pain relievers, for relief you can count on until we find a cure.
So tender, so innocent, your gums, so vulnerable to the wicked germs hoping to ravage them. Insidiously, they can build plaque and inflict gum disease. These germs are not fiction. They are in your mouth. Brushing and flossing alone may not stop them. Listerine can. Only Listerine's germ-killing formula is clinically proven to help prevent gum disease. Listerine, the power of prevention. Their germs show no mercy.
There are moments when a champion becomes something even bigger, better. And for Wheaties, that moment is now. The breakfast of champions tastes better than ever. It's a better toasted wheat taste. A bigger crunch. The new taste of Wheaties. The breakfast of champions just got better.
Now to NBC News Online. Athletes and AIDS. In the news this week, of course, with the Greg Louganis case. It's also in a new television commercial. An ad for Nike features marathoner Rick Muñoz running through a park near Los Angeles. Muñoz is HIV positive, it turns out. Nike says this ad is about understanding and determination. The Beat generation of the 1950s is finding an eager new audience among today's Generation X. Jack Kerouac's 1957 classic On the Road, a big seller again lately, now is being made into a movie by Francis Ford Coppola. Kerouac's estate was worth less than $36,000 when he died in 1969. Guess what it's at now? Almost $10 million. And the dream of everyone who ever browsed through a thrift shop, finding a real treasure. This long-lost painting by Salvador Dali, expected to sell at auction this May for up to $100,000. It was found rolled up in a New York thrift shop last December. The lucky buyer got it for just 40 bucks. Last night we told you about another auction of the first draft of Richard Nixon's resignation letter. It's sold for auction this week at $82,500. You may want to brace yourself for the next piece of news. With the 1996 presidential election still 1 year and 8 months away, President Clinton today got his first official challenger. He's the senior senator from Texas, Republican Phil Gramm. Born July 8th, 1942. He has a Ph.D. in economics, no military service. He was a college professor before winning a seat in Congress as a Democrat. He switched to the GOP in 1983. He announced his candidacy today in College Station. That's the home of Texas A&M. Here's how the Texan threw his hat into the ring in his own words.
With a love for America and a resolve to make her right again, I today declare myself a candidate for President of the United States. Everybody knows that America wants a conservative president.
Welcome home. Welcome home, Mr. Senator.
I believe as president in 4 years that I could balance the budget. I think I could do it by looking at every program.
Well, you're a straight shooter, I heard.
I think we ought to terminate the Department of Education.
Thank you.
I think we ought to merge the Department of Labor and the Department of Commerce.
Yes.
If I become president, I'm going to change the welfare system. I want a mandatory work requirement for every able-bodied man and woman in America. When we have people who have made a profession out of being poor, it's time to change the system.
And as president, by executive order, I will end quotas, preferences, and set-asides.
I'm pro-life because in my heart I cannot reach any other conclusion. I will veto any bill that mandates taxpayer-funded of abortion unless the mother's life is endangered.
Thank you. Good job, Senator. Thank you. I want 10 years in prison without parole for possessing a firearm during the commission of a violent crime or a drug felony. I want 20 years for discharging it, and I want the death penalty for killing somebody. We're one victory away from getting our money back and our freedom back and our country back, and that victory is a victory over Bill Clinton in 1996.
When we come back, training a police force from scratch. Can the United States do that in Haiti?
All right, let's stop it off here. Come on. No.
The coffee perking in this pot is America's best loved coffee.
Just as long as fathers dance with daughters. As long as there are welcome mats. And childhood sweethearts.
Maxwell House coffee.
Just as long as families come together. Maxwell House will always be good to the last drop. Good things have a way of lasting.
You get older, and your body starts to feel it. You get smarter, and you know the difference between pain relievers. That's why you get Bayer, the wonder drug, not Tylenol. Both relieve pain, but Bayer aspirin does something Tylenol can't. Only Bayer relieves the inflammation of arthritis when taken regularly. Just ask your doctor. You get older, you get smarter, you get Bayer.
This February at the Olive Garden, come try our special new Chicken Venetian Carnival. Grilled chicken breast, savory ravioli. With breadsticks and free soup or salad, all just $7.95. Only for the month of February, so hurry to the Olive Garden.
The American business day has no beginning, middle, or end. You're up by 6 a.m. to talk to London by noon. Late Tuesday in Vermont is early Wednesday in Sydney. No wonder UPS created Total Track. Up-to-the-minute delivery information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You may never know where you'll be at any given moment.
Where am I? At an airport.
But you'll always be able to track your package. UPS, moving at the speed of business.
What are the stars of ER really like? Take a trip behind the scenes of the hottest new show on TV, Dateline, tonight.
President Clinton today wrapped up his day-and-a-half-long visit to Canada, and aboard Air Force One, Secretary of State Warren Christopher said he's feeling fit as a fiddle after being hospitalized in Ottawa for a bleeding ulcer. Christopher will spend a day or two in Washington under observation in a hospital before going back to his diplomatic duties. In Haiti, 5 months after the American troops arrived there, and as they prepare to hand over responsibility for the mission to the United Nations, the question tonight is this: is Haiti now ready to step up to democracy? NBC's Andrea Mitchell again tonight in Port-au-Prince.
One of Haiti's biggest challenges, training a real police force, something the country has never had. This was Haiti's idea of a police force for 200 years. Now former Army members are directing traffic and patrolling the streets under the close watch of international monitors. And the U.S. and other countries are teaching the first recruits for Haiti's first civilian security force in 200 years. This class gets 4 months training in things like you don't have to use excessive force, and you can even arrest a government big shot. How difficult is it to teach these recruits democracy?
It's something that they've never known it, so they don't understand at the beginning, but they're starting to grasp it now.
Today, the 3 men who helped bring democracy to Haiti came back to see if the country can also learn about law and order. Do you think the Haiti police can take over at some point?
Well, I certainly hope so. That's what we're all here working toward.
The recruits are screened to try to keep out the thugs who terrorized Haiti until 5 months ago.
We're very proud of you, what you've done already.
Jimmy Carter told the first class that Haiti's future rests on their shoulders. On the shoulders of people like Violette Muselier. How tough will it be to bring law and order to Haiti? So you think, although it's going to be difficult, that day by day it'll get better? Can they do the job?
Many of them left their families and their businesses to come here at great sacrifice so that they could make a difference.
4 months from now, the recruits will be patrolling these streets, trying to establish order in a country that has known nothing but chaos. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Port-au-Prince.
There's a new endorsement tonight for the President's choice for Surgeon General, Dr. Henry Foster. The nation's largest black church, the National Baptist Convention. Leaders of the 8 million member denomination cited Dr. Foster's work to help prevent teenage pregnancy in his home state of Tennessee. And the war on AIDS, 2 big drug makers, Merck and Roche, today said they're planning now to ask for FDA approval for a new family of AIDS-fighting drugs called proteinase inhibitors. They control the growth of the virus in the body. FDA approval could come by the end of the year. Coming up in a moment, living a dream between heaven and earth. Our American Close-Up when NBC Nightly News continues.
By the end of the week, 7 more lives will be saved. By the end of the day, 16 people who couldn't walk will. By the end of the hour, these special filters will help make 25,000 more gallons of water ready for drinking. And by the end of this message, 1 more premature baby will be protected. All of which is made possible with the help of a material we call plastic.
30 years ago, we promised to take care of each other.
We sure did.
And today, we're taking better care of our health with Ensure.
More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to help stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Drink Ensure as a meal.
Or in between meals.
Ensure is recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete balanced nutrition.
Ensure to your health.
To our health.
And now there's new Ensure High Protein, low in saturated fat.
Radio Play is proud to fuel the dreams of the first women's team ever to compete in America's Cup. Whatever your dream, do it for you.
We flooded this jump to introduce Goodyear's new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks and sport utilities. 2 aqua channels sweep water away for outstanding wet traction. The 50,000-mile Wrangler AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
No matter what they say.
Mr. Thompson, heard about the big savings I can get you over AT&T?
No matter how they say it.
Not to worry. Today I've got a better plan for your business with even bigger savings.
No matter what numbers they throw at you.
20%.
30%.
10.5%.
Only one company guarantees competitive prices. AT&T. Call 1-800-COMPARE and get the facts.
Listen, I've got the facts.
AT&T guaranteed competitive prices.
I'm sticking with AT&T.
AT&T, for the life of your business.
Saturday, the trial of the century. The Lindbergh kidnapping in 1935. And move over, Cindy. Here comes Mark, male supermodel. Saturday on Today.
Our American close-up tonight, a man who's hit middle age running. Also skiing, climbing, sailing, swimming, and soaring. Steve Fawcett, who earlier this week set a high-flying record. And it turns out that's just part of his remarkable story. The cutthroat world of Chicago's trading floors would be enough to keep anyone's adrenaline pumping, right? Not if you're Steve Fawcett. Making millions in the financial markets wasn't enough. He spent his adult life chasing thrills. Like Superman, he's scaled the tallest peaks, raced the fastest cars, survived Alaska's grueling Iditarod dog sled race, and sailed his boat across the Atlantic. And 3 nights ago, this modern-day Walter Mitty soared his way into history. At age 50, he became the first person to make a solo flight across the Pacific in a hot air balloon.
Well, how do you feel? Well, pretty good.
We caught up with Fawcett this morning at his vacation home in Colorado, where we talked via satellite. A lot of guys are going to be looking at you and saying, here's a very prosperous guy from Chicago. He's 50 years old. Why doesn't he just hang it up and stay there in Beaver Creek and put his feet up in front of the fire?
I want to do some things. I want to accomplish something in my life, and I've chosen adventure sports as my medium.
What about your wife? You've been married now for almost 20 years. Does she look at you sometimes and say, Steve, you're crazy?
Yes, I'm not sure she fully agrees with all of this, but over the years, I think she's starting to accept me for what I am.
Fawcett's dangerous journey began in Seoul, South Korea, in a balloon powered by helium and hot air. A computer and a fax machine kept him connected to a friend in Chicago. But for 4 days, Fawcett was all alone, high over the Pacific, surviving on freeze-dried food, enduring bone-chilling cold, barely sleeping.
I was a little bit surprised that the risk was higher than I had calculated it to be. There were storms down on the surface of the Pacific and probably no boats within range. So it's absolutely essential that the flight be successful all the way because landing in the ocean would represent some serious risk of not being rescued.
A serious understatement. When he finally reached the frozen farmland of Saskatchewan, Fawcett had logged a record 5,437 miles and climbed above 26,000 feet at times.
That was the threshold experience of the flight. When I looked down and saw Vancouver Island, I was really very happy because then I knew I was safe.
A lot of people would look at you and say, this guy's going through a classic midlife crisis. Do you ever think of it in those terms?
No, it's not a midlife crisis. It's an entire lifestyle that I have carefully selected for myself. I'm very happy that I'm doing this and will continue to do it.
Okay.
Fawcett says that his next project is a trans-Pacific sailboat race. Then, maybe, the fastest sailboat around the world. What are your weekend plans? I'll see you tonight on Dateline NBC. And